Greetings. You have been programmed to fail, but you can win if you accept the knowledge that I'm going to share with you. And if you're willing to apply that knowledge in your life, then it will become power because you would be a wise person. You see, only when you act upon the knowledge that has been given to you that you would discover true wisdom. And a wise person will always look within themselves to find the answers of life. And so when I said that you've been programmed to lose, you have to first understand that there are systems that have already been set up for you to lose. For example, when you understand where general education really came from, academic education, and what was their motive, you would realize was to have loyal workers. And those loyal workers would do it willingly without any force, because the way how the whole system of learning has been structured. And so you've been programmed to go to the factories. You've been programmed to create a world with a power differential, while we all have one power and one mind. But it's just different arrangement of that one mind. And so the reason why such a system is so successful, and the reason why universities all around the world, they are generating more money than any other business because of student loans and so on. So the bank and the universities and so on, right? They keep the people in a perpetual state of slavery, economic slavery, and also mental slavery. And the reason why they're so successful is because most people fail to realize that you're born in this world in amnesia. Okay, a state of forgetfulness, and you're seeking to know who you are. And if your parents never know who they were or who they are, they will never teach you to know who you are. So you will find in this world, the rich will teach their children how to be rich, and the middle class will teach their children how to be middle class, and the poor will teach their children how to be poor. And the lowest, I should say, way to earn money is to exchange your time for money. And that is what most people do. While the rich, they buy time with their money. That's why they have employees and they are the employer. Okay? So they will teach their children to do the same. And the middle class, who will tell their children to go to school, get good grades, and get a certain kind of job, to get a certain kind of pay, they will teach that also to their children. And the poor, they will also be telling their children how money don't grow on trees, and they would also teach them to have the wrong concept about money, and most of the time they might teach them to have a religious and a superstitious mentality, and they would teach them to believe that the world is a rat race, a dog eat dog world. It's a competitive world when there is more than enough in the world for everyone, if everyone would seek to know what is their purpose and what is their calling. And that is how important it is for you to understand that you have been programmed, and you have to reprogram your mind if you want to be successful in life. If you want to win in life, you have to reprogram your mind, which means you have to be willing to learn. And you have to also be willing to unlearn. Okay, you see, there's some people in this world who believe they already know everything, especially religious and superstitious people. You cannot teach them anything, you cannot tell them anything. They know it all, and they hold to certain thing as if it's a fact, because that's how they were programmed. Because you see, most people do not understand how the subconscious mind works, and how they can program the subconscious mind from the time of birth right up to the age of 7 and 8. So whatever you've been programmed with by your parents, and most people send their children to be programmed by other people, whether is it in the daycare and the preschool and so on and all of that, because they're so busy. Okay, the system makes sure they keep them busy. Okay, and so because of that, as I said before, it's the same thing will be happening over and over and over and over and over and over. So there will always be the rich, the middle class, and the poor. But we all have a choice. So you can either program yourself to continue to live the way how you're living, if you're living in a state whereby you're not feeling accomplished. Or if you want to change that, you'll be willing to reprogram your mind for success. You see, when you understand that everything is based on energy, vibration, and frequency, then you would have to check your frequency, you would have to check your vibration, and you would have to check yourself to see what energy you are of. Do you realize that you're a mass of energy, and that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transmuted? Do you realize that thoughts become things, and that you become what you think about most of the time? Do you realize that you are the creator of everything that's happening in your life? Do you realize that there's a law of cause and effect? And the systems that want to keep you and make you a failure, they will never teach you the law of cause and effect. That is why most people believe that there's such a thing as a devil outside of themselves. They believe there's some tempter outside of themselves, and fail to realize it's their low, dirty, stinking, negative thoughts that is referred to as devil and demons and so on. They're thought forms. And so when you understand that everything in this world that we depend upon for survival, it was for us a thought, it was for us an idea, it was for us imagine. Even the things in nature, okay, you have to perceive of them. So when you look at them through your eyes, which your eye is the gateway to the soul, you can only do so because of your consciousness. So consciousness is the only thing that is real, and the other things are projection of those things that are within you. So if you really understand what I would have just said there, you would realize that everything in this world actually belongs to you, because it is within you. That is why if you can see it, and you can believe it, and conceive it, you can actually have it. You can definitely receive it, because yours, everything in this world is for free. All you have to do is change your psyche, your way of thinking, the way you were programmed by your parents and your parents. You have to break that programming. You have to break that paradigm, and there must be a shift in your life. I'm speaking from experience, that until I was willing to change my thinking and reprogram my subconscious mind, in other words, rearrange my mind to get on a different frequency, that's when I started to see the kind of results I've always want to see in my life, and feel the way how I want to feel. And from the time I prove it, I dedicated my life to teach others. And that is why, my brother and my sisters, I want to say to you that you are already successful. All you just need to do is raise your vibration to the frequency of success, abundance, and prosperity. There are people who laugh at you from the beginning because they're not seeing certain things. Do you realize, right? If there's someone who say you went to school with us, someone who you grew up around, okay, and you know how they grew up and so on, and when they start to amass wealth, you wouldn't really be seeing it. Okay, because for example, if the person doesn't say anything, when the person have the first, say 100,000, okay, nobody would know. But after a while, by the time they reach millionaire, that is when people are gonna believe, well, okay, this man rich. But all the time, for years, it could have been 9 years, 10 years. You start growing to your riches. It's like a tree. Okay, you start with a seed, you plant the seed, it go through death, burial, and resurrection, and that's what we refer to as germination. So it started to germinate, and it grow and grow and grow and grow. Then it started to blossom. Okay, and then it started to bring forth its fruit. It's the same thing with you. It's the same thing with your mind. That's why most people don't know their mind is a garden. That's why most people believe that there was two naked people running around in a literal garden and do not know. That's a parable of the mind. Okay, and that is why, the Bible, okay, been used also to keep people brainwashed by the way how it's been interpreted to them. So you have a school system, you have a political system, and you have a religious system that is out to make you a failure. Okay, that's why they never teach you your self-value. For example, religion teach you, like for example, Christianity and based on my experience, right? I grew up in what they refer to as a Christian nation, something about Christianity, right? They teach you that you're wretched, that you're a sinner, and you're in need of a savior. But the very Bible itself tells you, if you look at upon a woman and think, you already commit the act. If you're angry with someone with other cause, you already commit the act. What you're saying, the moment you have that impulse, it has already created. And it is possible that it can be manifested. That's why it's teaching you. It's teaching you that thoughts become things, but most people don't get it. That's why you have a lot of self-righteous people running around the place, believing that they're righteous and they never do this and they never do that. But the moment you have the impulse, which one of us? That's why the story whereby they brought a woman in adultery and they said Christ, which is basically speaking of your higher self. It is speaking of an enlightened man. Okay, one who's been enlightened, one who would have awakened from the dream of life. But most people read it and they take a personification for persons. They think it is a man 2,000 years ago. And they think it's secular history. They think it's events that happened thousands of years ago. But they do not understand its parables. They do not understand it's all about the mind. And it just said, he without sin cast the first stone. You who didn't born in this world in a state of ignorance. Because sin is ignorance. Ignorance of not knowing who you are. Ignorance of not knowing how the mind works. So he said, which one of you never had a thought? Cast the first stone. And most religious people, they miss it, they don't understand it. That's why also he says that the fool says in his heart that there is no God. That is the man who do not understand how thoughts work. That's the man who do not understand that God in man is man's awareness of being, man's imagination. That's a man who do not know that everything you say and everything you do, it was first a thought, it was first an idea in the mind. And that's the man who turn around and say, I'm not God. And they get angry with you for you trying to enlighten them, to tell them that God is actually the higher self. They'll get angry with you because they believe God is some mighty being, a man up in the sky who more mightier than them, who more greater than them. That's how they think, because that's how they were programmed to think. But when you realize, because most people refer to the Bible and say, oh, the word of God, like God write it. It is man. Because the mind of man is the mouth of God, and the mouth of God is the mind of man. Everything that has ever been done, everything that has been ever invented, okay? It was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. It was first what we refer to as an inspiration. An inspiration is what? A spiritual sensation. So too when you have a desire, it's a spiritual sensation. So when the Bible says that holy men wrote as God spake, it is mystics, men who are receiving certain experiences in their life, and those experiences was to show humanity how to live their life here sumptuously and live their life as God in flesh, being conscious and deliberate creators. That is why the richest people in the world are not religious people. Religious people never invented money. Yet they work for it all the time and they work the hardest and they're going to tell you that is the blessing of God. But if you chase how money came into this world, it is the people who have the same understanding that I have, that those religious people call and say is of the devil. For example, the single eye and the US dollar. Religious people say that's the eye of Lucifer, the all-seeing eye of the devil and so on. But they don't call money evil. The only thing that religious people don't call evil and devilish is money. Because they love money more than anybody else. That's why they was willing to give their shoulder to be vaccinated for money. They was willing to sell their soul for money. Because they do not know that true money is cosmic money. It's energy. It's thought frequency. That's why poverty is of the mind. And riches is of the mind. So those who can control your mind can control every aspect of your life. That is why they don't want you to be in control of your mind. They don't want you to think for yourself. That is why men like me, back in the day, the church used to kill them. That's why there's all blood on the church and the hand of the church. And you can't speak against the church without also exposing the political system. That's why the preachers, they preach against cigarette smoking, alcohol drinking. But who legalized cigarette smoking and who legalized alcohol drinking? Politicians. And then the preacher will turn around and tell you that it is your right to go and vote. See, they brainwash you. Then they tell you that God give leaders to rule over you, when it's supposed to be government of your internal affairs. And so they give you minister for this and minister for that, when you're supposed to be the minister for all of those things in your life. Then preachers will preach against homosexuality, they'll preach against pornography. But who legalized the pornography industry? Politicians. And who vote for politicians? The same religious people. And who say that God is the one who give you those kind of people to lead over you? They saw the same preachers. So you see how they contradictory. Do you see how corrupt a system it is? Those are the same people who preach against homosexuality too. And homosexuality cannot be legalized without politicians. You see? And you can't have politicians without preachers having their congregation and telling their congregation that God wants them to vote for leaders to lead over them, when you're supposed to be the leader of your own life. You're supposed to be the government of your own life. You don't need to go to church to know what to do and what not to do in life, because everything you do and everything you say, it was for a thought, it was for an idea, it was for imagine, it is for mental, it's the mind. Nobody could write a book and it wasn't for mental. The Bible is a book, you're reading a book. So, people have to use their mind, they have to use their imagination and put it there in paper. That is why when you understand the power of your mind and how to use your mind, you will realize that before you travel on a plane, you could travel there from within. Everything you do in the physical, everything that science and technology give you, that science and technology come from within. And you can go within and use the real science and technology from within before you use those science and technology without. So before you travel on a physical plane, you could travel there in the astral world. But they don't want you to know that. That's why they're against out about the experience. And they frighten the people. But you see, when you understand that all of these things that preachers are glorifying to say that those things are the blessings of God, like the private jet and so on, and all of the millions, when you start to understand where they really come from, then you will see, okay, how blind the masses are. And that is why you have to reprogram your mind for success. Because the more successful you become in this world is the more people you can help. And the more people you can help is the more you'll be doing the work of God. Sharing tracts is not doing the work of God. If someone come to you and they have nothing to eat, nothing to wear, and you can't give to them, you're worse off than an infidel. I could go on and on and on and on, but I'm going to come to a close and I'll leave you this. Even in the very Bible that these religious people are reading, you know what it says? He said the rich would always rule over the poor. And the borrower will always be a slave to who? The lender. Do you know the banks control most people? And the reason why the banks control most people is because people get trapped in student loans. And people get trapped in things that are not asset, they are liability. Most people believe that buying a home is an asset. But it's not an asset, it's a liability. Most people believe in buying a luxurious vehicle or buying a vehicle that it is an asset. But it's not an asset, it's a liability. That is why sometimes you look around and see people have those things. They buy it out of their surplus, not out of their need. So if you have one source of income and you try to get those things, you know what happens? Your credit or your bills that you would have to pay will be more than what you're earning. And so school never teaches us anything about money. And most of us, we grew up around parents and so on, who have no concept of money and how money really works, because they don't know how the mind really works. And so things have been passing down from generation to generation to generation. But I'm saying to you, you can break the curse. And it is simple. All you have to do is reprogram your mind for success. But you have to, as I said before, and as I come to a close here, you have to be willing. Definitely you have to be willing to unlearn and relearn. And that's the hardest thing, to unlearn. Because people really believe they know. False knowing, intellectual knowing is false knowing. I have so much of books. But you think I read from books is what I know, is what I experience. That's the real knowing. That's the only knowing there is. There are really just people that argue all day, but no action to back up what they're talking about. No action to back it up. You see? So, my brothers, my sisters, it's time to, break free. It is time to definitely break free. Okay, and liberate yourself. Be in control of your mind. Because that's the greatest possession you have. It's your mind. And that is what they're after. They're after your mind. From since you leave your mother womb, you system out to get your mind. To control your mind. To make you a paycheck slave. But you could break it. You see? And then it's not for everybody. What I'm saying is not for everybody, because you have to have employers and you have to have employees. But for those who think they need to vibrate higher, and those who think they need to do better in life, and those who have been seeking and searching, those are the ones I'm speaking to. Okay? Because there will all be seekers and free thinkers in this world. There will always be the wise and there will always be the foolish. For example, I normally hear people say, oh, they want reparation, give them reparation. I guarantee you, if you give everybody $1 million, you rich people are going to come back and get back all of those money from those people, and those people still going to end up broke. Everybody know about Bobby Brown. Everybody know about MC Hammer and those people. People had millions and millions and they end up broke. It's all about the mind. Okay? So, my brother and thing, this could go very long, so I think I'll come to a close here. Okay, I want to thank you very much, and I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you listen to me and what I'm saying, if it makes sense, if it really resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. Also, if you like to follow me on Instagram, I like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at Black Man Guru. And if you want to grab a hold of my work, all of the links are down below. I'll definitely encourage you to check out all of the links that are down below, and let your intuition lead you and guide you into what to do. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.